Hi guys, so today we are going to do I guess a kind of review of Reeves Gouache. This is the same gouache that I use. I guess they did a little bit of rebranding. This is the same gouache that I've used and have been using, but these guys have been through a lot of extreme temperatures, and I don't know how old they are, so I don't know what the real quality of gouache is like. I can't afford to get more expensive gouache that have higher quality. And when I went to the store, I was really on the hunt for white because I like tinting white with other colors or with watercolor. And they had a sale. It was incredible. It was 50% off of Winsor & Newton gouache specifically, and they were out of white. So, and I don't have a set color palette just yet, so I didn't want to splurge on 2 or 3 of the other colors. I only wanted white, so I figured let me get some more white and let me get 11 other colors instead of just getting a couple of really good gouache. Just as a forewarning, there might be some skips or some big pauses because a truck just drove in front of my building, and they were being pretty loud before, but they turned the truck off and they've been quiet for a few minutes, so I'm gonna test my luck. And it's also a really gloomy day, so hopefully the light doesn't change too much. So this gouache was pretty cheap. I got it at Michael's too, and they have every day they have like a 40% off of one item kind of thing. So I got it at half the price, well, almost half the price anyway, on top of it being pretty cheap. So we got the set of 12 because I don't need 18 or whatever the bigger set is. It looks like we've got white, lemon yellow, medium yellow, brilliant red, crimson, leaf green, emerald green, blue lake, ultramarine, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna and black. Let me see, I wonder if any of the colors are new. This is a swatch I did a couple weeks ago with my gouache and watercolor, and the gouache is my old Reeves. So they have ultramarine, blue lake, it looks like it's probably the same set, emerald green, leaf green, oh there's no dark green, they've got yellow ochre, medium yellow, so it looks pretty much about the same. I have a gouache in orange red, which is not in here, and I have a gouache in burnt umber, which is also not in here, and magenta, violet as well. So maybe the other set was the bigger set, but that's all right. So I went ahead and I set these up, these little black cardstock paper on top of my sketchbook. We're gonna test it out on the Strathmore mixed media paper, series 300, and see how they look on white and black paper. I have 2 black sketchbooks that I really need to try out and make some stuff with, so I figured swatching these over the black might help me out and not be so scared of working on black. So we'll do it in the order that it came in. I'm gonna do 2 swatches, one with no water and one with some water. I'll be using Strathmore palette paper, so I'm not sure if I want to clean out my palette yet and replace it with these And so just to give you an example of what temperature extremes I'm talking about. Number one, I don't know how old the gouache is. Number two, we moved to New Jersey last August, and we didn't have a place to stay before we went there, so all of our stuff stayed on the U-Haul truck for quite a few days. You can imagine New Jersey at the height of summer heat packed in a metal box. That's not nice. And then on top of that, things didn't quite work out there, so we had to move back to Atlanta. So we put all our stuff in storage in New Jersey in November, and it was not temperature controlled. So my old gouache has gone through extreme heat and extreme cold, so I'm sure they're not good anymore. So this is with no water. Dry brush. I might have to do a little bit of water for the other ones because I'll have to wash the brush off. I'll do some water. Okay. The lemon yellow almost looks like a different color when it has water in it. I love how creamy these feel. They're not as opaque as I've seen other gouache to be, but you know, when you pay for what you get. So these are, I guess they're an intro grade brand. They do really well on the black, I'm surprised. This crimson looks really deep and rich. Look at that. That looks really nice on the black. I didn't mention before, I'm using a Royal and Langnickel paintbrush. Number 10. The emerald almost looks like a teal. I'm always really amused by how different the same name color can be. Like if you look here, my emerald in the old gouache is like almost teal. I feel like that's way more teal than emerald. And in the watercolor it's a bright, like leafy kind of green. And here it's that teal color again. And it's always even interesting if you look up the color teal online, it's a billion different colors. I haven't been liking how the sketchbook takes watercolor. I feel like it kind of just sits on top instead of really taking in the color. It feels nice to have a new set that doesn't do crazy unexpected things. It'll be a real treat when I'll be able to afford higher quality gouache. It's nice that the gouache is, the black gouache is darker than my black cardstock. Cool. So I'm gonna let these dry, and then I'll see you in just a few minutes with a closer look. Okay, so we've swatched all the colors. I am really excited because these seem so creamy and pigmented. They don't seem crazy other than like, well, this is because of the sketchbook. You see how it bubbles like that? It's like the water just sits on top. It does it with certain colors. And I don't know when to predict it, but that's just the sketchbook. So what we're gonna do is do the final piece of this guy. So I painted this as the 4th day of Ott's 100 days, where you for 100 days you have a color palette. Each day is a different color palette. I've been using coolers as my like random picker because I don't trust myself to pick random colors, and I really liked how this came out, and I want to do a big piece of it. So we're gonna do that today on some of my favorite watercolor paper, Canson watercolor paper. It's 11 by 15, but I cut it down to 8.5 by 11. Does it say? Oh, I would cover it with tape. It's 140 pounds, and oh man, I won't be able to take that off. Yep. So it's 140 pounds. It's a really nice paper. It's cold press. I like the texture of cold press. I think maybe that's why I'm not liking the new sketchbook. It's hot press. So let's get started. I'm gonna use, what am I going to use? Oh, that's a watercolor pencil. I shouldn't use that. I'm gonna try sketching. I'll sketch in pencil first, and then I'm going to use colored pencil to lay down the final sketch. Because I've been seeing a lot of people do that. I like how it looks. It just seems really pleasing. So let's get started. So I'm going to be using this colored pencil, Beryl Verithin in orange. Unfortunately, I have managed to lose the single Prismacolor Colorase pencil that I owned. Maybe one day, hopefully in the near future, I can buy myself a set. I loved it. It was blue. I lost it, and then I found it, and then I lost it, and I have not found it. guys for watching my video. I hope you liked my review and my speed paint of this painting. If you did, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below on what you'd like to see from me next. And I hope you guys have a great day.